and we dropped her name in the beginning of it. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Pop in, which is so fun. And so, like, I just took a little opportunity to give you a big old shout out to the HubSpot Academy crew.
Awesome.
Welcome, folks. We're going to give you my moment to sign in. I'm Kately from Lately. This is Natasha. Oh, my God. We're going to be talking all about her and all the amazing things she's achieved that I aspire to. So, so do as always, tell us, am I still echoing? Lauren had said I was to you.
There's like a little bit of I would call it reverb rather than echo.
I like the marketer. So wait, I'm just going to check my little settings. It says echo cancellation, which I clicked. Now I'm going to.
Oh, now you're really.
No,
now I'm echoing.
Well, folks, we're going to hope that this is okay for you. You know what? I'm going to switch microphones. How about that? Can you hear me now?
Oh, testing. Yes.
Here we go. Let's hope that works. The power of the microphone.
Really
what do we
good.
call it? Big banana? All right, everybody. Pop
Mine's
in the
bigger than yours.
Mine's bigger than yours. Let's hear where you're from. I'm in Stone Ridge, New York, where it's so cold it feels like winter again, and I'm angry about this. Yeah, where are you? I know you're tomorrow. Nice.
I'm in Jingletown, this so rockin' area of Oakland in the Bay Area.
There you go, Oakland. So what is it, 70-ish?
I mean, it's gonna be.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Dang. So here in the Northeast, we're freezing. Let us know where you guys are at. Weather, I always say, is like the most wonderful conversation piece. So because it takes you right there, right?
I mean, I can hop in the estuary, which is my backyard, in my kayak right after this.
Oh gosh. Okay, I'm coming over now. That sounds lovely. I haven't even I hung up my bathing suit over there so I can stare at it.
That's your vacation.
Yeah.
That's your idea of a fun time.
Yeah, and also to motivate me to drink less. So I'm trying to drink just a little bit less every night so I can get into that sucker. All right, so we should get to business. This is Lately Live. It's been a long time. Lauren has been doing our live office hours because she's amazing, and it's not very often that I have the time or am able to make the time. But for you, Natasha, specifically, I was so excited to do this because we love you as a human, and you're so good about doing to others. You live that, right? And you've done it to me a lot. And so this is my one small way I can do unto you and to help you and to share as much as we can in 30 minutes about what you've learned and how you got there. So let me give you guys an introduction to Natasha here and do the old thing here. So Natasha is a business growth evangelist. She's a speaker. She's an author. And she's also the owner of Entire Productions, which is a corporate event and entertainment production and marketing company. And it's been one of Inc. 5000's fastest growing businesses in America for 3 years in a row. It's incredible. She also studied entrepreneurship at Harvard and MIT. Here's a secret if you don't know about her, which I was floored to find out. She's a trained classical violinist and accomplished jazz vocalist. Yowzers. Her new book is Relentless: How I Went from Living in a Homeless Shelter to Building a Multi-million-dollar Business and Earning My Place on the Inc. 5000. What a title. Hook, you got me. Please welcome Natasha Miller.
Thank you, Kate. We changed that really long tagline to homeless teen to achieving the entrepreneur dream. It's not really shorter.
But homeless teen to achieving the entrepreneur dream.
But it rhymes.
It rhymes. And it says, I mean, the growth is the thing, right? So,
yeah.
I didn't know that about you, actually, and I'm sure a lot of people are asking about it. I think, so the thing I wanted to know most was, relentless is a good word. It's an easy word, I think, for some people to just slap on. But for you, every inch of those letters means something, right?
Yeah, I think the word that you hear a lot about people in general, not just entrepreneurs, is resilience. And that has a lot of weight to it as well. But it is not enough to be resilient. You have to be relentless if you're going for a dream, a goal, or success.
Yeah. So when you're in your darkest, the dark is the fun part to talk about, of course.
Yeah, well, open the book to the first page and you'll see dark.
Well, so let's when you're in your darkest places, like how do you manage to wave your relentless flag? Like how do you get there?
Well, that the answer to that for back in the day would be different than what it would be today or, in current life. So back in the day when all the tragedy began, I must have had this inner fire in me innately that made me fight like I did and not turn to what some people do in the times of challenge to um, turn to drugs or alcohol or self harm in those ways. Just for some reason, I avoided that for the most part, which was miraculous.
Mm.
These days, when the shit hits the fan and things suck, I, like any human being, react immediately to it. Right? Any
Yeah.
human being is gonna do it, doesn't matter how evolved you are. But then I get to remind myself, "Wait a minute, this will pass at some point in your life. You won't even remember this.
Mm.
You won't even remember how it feels. So let's not give it as much weight. And in fact, let's maybe just wait it out a little bit and not try to overthink it and not try to overcompensate. Especially it's especially good if you just, especially if it's night, go to sleep and wake up the next
Yeah.
morning because it will have less weight then potentially. So that is part of my relentlessness is not letting things drag me down for too long.
So I gotta ask, and don't ruin the book, but can you tell us a couple of things about like what
Oh,
happened?
sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I grew up in the 70s and 80s in Des Moines, Iowa. So I'm in the middle of the country with no access to um, a lot of things because of the time and the place, right?
Mm.
So mental health wasn't important, domestic violence and abuse wasn't really, there wasn't a way out or help for it like it is now. And I had a very unhealthy mother who, quite honestly, I mean, maybe she loved me like that automatic love, but basically hated me and
Mm.
treated me that way. And I had 2 brothers that she liked better, and that was really hard on them, actually. I was threatened almost every day of my life
Oh my
with
God.
my life, and the words that I was brought up with were, "I'm going to kill you. I hate you. I'd
Ugh.
rather go to jail than have to look at your face."
Oh
So
my God.
those are actual words that came out of her mouth many, many times, but there were actions and other words that all amounted to the same thing from the time I can remember until I was 23. There were spots of potentially good moments with her,
Yeah.
but I could never count on them. And I
Mm.
remember being even 30 years old on my birthday wanting my mom to call me and wish me happy birthday, but she never
Oh.
did, and she never would, and she never will, but I'm at a place now where I understand more about why, and I was always waiting for someone to come to save me. I was looking for someone to come to save me, and I think the idea about my life and this book is no one's coming to save you, but
Right.
you can save yourself. You have everything you need to inside of you. It's not that easy though, and the shortcut to getting to the place where you wanna go and out of the situation that you want to go in is doing the work, and that
Mm.
could mean anything from therapy to studying or reading to, really being introspective and not just taking that, here's a tip or trick or a hack. Sometimes those things do propel a little bit further, but you have to do the work.
Yeah, we say the hard way is the way around here.
It's the only way to really get to where you're going.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like, did you supplement or did you try to supplement the role of your mother with other women that you looked up
Mm.
to?
Not necessarily women. And, I'm hearing now from so many people now that the book has been published that have read it and they knew me and my family back in the day and they're reflecting back what
Mm.
they saw happening. And it's honestly much
Wow.
worse than
Wow.
I remember and that
Yeah.
I wrote in my journals since the age of 10. And it is really hard to see those things, um, reflected back.
Sure. I mean, I think, you know, in a way, in my efforts to relate, that I notice a similar, just general, like most of the women I know specifically, like they'll tell the story of something that they went through, and then someone else's version also shines them in a light that shows how much more relentless they actually were than they even realized, right? So
Right.
it's
And then to answer your question, I didn't really lean on women per se, but I really looked up to violin professors, conductors, people that I really respected and tried to get them to take me under their wing, or I was taken under their wing and thankful and usually just gobsmacked. Like, why is my conductor, Diane Pope, who was a female, picking me out of all these kids as someone special to go study with a college professor at Drake University, Dr. Beal?
mm,
I was terrified because I didn't have that support of, like my daughter grew up, I told her she was good at everything. By the way, she was. But even if she wasn't, that's the love I gave to her. I didn't have that. So when somebody else was saying to me, you are special. You have talent. I want you to go here. I see you have, wings. I'm like, who are you talking about? Because I never experienced that.
yeah. Did you find it hard to pass on as a mom yourself?
No. But I did think that when I was pregnant with her, I was terrified that I would be abusive to her physically and mentally and emotionally, like I had been treated. And I
Mm.
went to a therapist. And after the third visit, the woman just looked at me. And I don't know if she said this because she knew for sure, or if she said this because she knew it's what I needed to hear. It doesn't matter. It worked. She said, Natasha, I've listened to you talk, right? This is the third hour. And I want to let you know you're not going to hurt your child.
Ah, there you go.
And I left there. And from that moment on, I knew I wouldn't.
Yeah.
So and I didn't. I did, however, overcompensate. But
That's okay.
yeah, I didn't want my daughter to feel any pain. And so I was out there fixing a whole lot of stuff for her. She was super spunky, so she was like, cut that out. So that's good, right? I didn't completely ruin her.
So with the violin work, it sounds like that was like a great sort of escape for you
Yeah,
in that
absolutely. It was
moment?
everything. It was an escape, it was a safety net. It, saved my life, created my life, catapulted me into a better life, and it's not just the violin, it's music in general, but it started with the violin. I got a full ride scholarship to 3 different colleges. I
It's
never
amazing.
graduated. Um, I didn't need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The universe, it works in weird ways, but there's that you have to it's funny, like I believe in both luck and um whatever not
You
luck
gotta
is.
position yourself in
That's
order
the thing.
to
Yeah.
get to that luck,
Yeah, and you
right?
need to know when to take advantage of it, right? Like there it was, and maybe you weren't aware, maybe you were aware, but some gut instinct said do this, and you were like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
doing it.
I wasn't very aware as a young person and really only became more aware, honestly, when I was, like, almost 40,
Yeah.
and I couldn't have written this book, before I did, which was I just released it. I started it 4 years ago, but I was not in a mental space, and I wasn't over some of the, challenges that I had, to get over, and I hadn't had the success and the accomplishments yet. at 40, but
Let's
now I do.
let's talk about more of that. So, you had said to me, and I think I have this fact right, that only 2% of women-owned businesses hit the $1 million mark,
Mhm.
and
In
um,
revenue.
in revenue. Yeah, and I was floored by this, which you have done. I have not done. I'm almost there. But when you said that to me, it did what it validated me, and it made me feel the true sense of accomplishment and how hard that is.
Mhm.
So I'm so amazed with you that you've done this. You know, your music talents are, I mean, can you share with us some of those accolades as well? I mean, you just kind of hinted a little bit. You got these scholarships,
Oh,
but
yes.
then
Well, I mean, I have 7 commercially produced CDs. I toured, I played at Monterey Jazz Festival as a headliner. Over here on the West Coast, Yoshi's is kind of like our Carnegie Hall of jazz, and, I played in concert for people that were paying for tickets, and that was my career. And Entire Productions, which is my core business now, was my lifestyle business to support my performing career. I was performing as a jazz vocalist, not as a violinist, but I'd always play on my shows. So in New York, I did the Jazz Standard, in Washington, Blues Alley, which is so cool.
yeah,
So those things, I had huge articles written about me in the San Francisco Chronicle, LA Times, Washington, um, well, I would just say Wall Street Journal, but also like so many other great magazines. And it was really because of the story. Nobody really cares if you're a good singer or performer. I mean, some people do, but the press isn't going to write about you. But I had a really good story with this person that I was doing music with.
mm,
He wrote the song Unchain My Heart that Joe Cocker and before him Ray Charles made famous. So anyway, there was a good hook to us. And our life story was optioned for different things in Hollywood at the time. And that was really a surprise to us, and to me especially, this little girl from 29th Street in Des Moines. There was a fight by directors and producers for our option. And I was like, what's an option?
it's amazing. And hearing you talk too about your accomplishments is so inspiring because you don't hesitate when you talk about your own success.
Nope. Let me say this out loud. Are you ready? I'm Natasha Miller, and I own a profitable multi-million dollar company. And anywhere I go, that's how I introduce myself. But then I say, do you want to know why I just said that?
Yeah.
And the reason I say it is, of course, I'm proud. And of course, my ego wants this to be known. But I don't see women talking about their success. I don't see women in entrepreneurship staking their ground. And when I do that, I'm giving, not that I have it to give, but I'm giving permission to others
Yeah.
to do it.
I wrote it down when you said that, and I had to practice saying it, and I'm still bad at it, actually. It's hard to do
It's not
that.
hard for me. I think maybe once you do it enough, um, that you will find it's just like anything, right? You're afraid of public speaking, but if you keep doing it, you're going to be great. And at some point you'll be like, I don't even remember what it feels like to be afraid, right?
Yeah, that circles back to what you said before is that it's very meditative, is that the 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 pain, the negative feeling, whatever it is, it's all um right? I don't even know how to say it, but it's temporary. Everything is
Mhm.
temporary, right?
Yeah, even success, by the way, and
Mm,
accolades. But I'm looking at my wall, which I just moved into a new place a year ago, and this is my office. I have a really cool background. And what I'm looking at right now, which I'd been hesitant to put up because I didn't want to be like all about myself. And I'm like, no, you worked your ass off. So I'm seeing posters, CDs framed, newspaper articles framed. Yeah, this is my wall of fame, and, nobody else has to see it, but I'm going to enjoy it.
um, I like the Wall of Fame. I need to work on that one as well. So how did it feel? like, how does it feel to have the book out there? Like, and I mean to ask that both personally
Yeah.
and professionally.
It feels so liberating. It is so much bigger than me. Kate, you and I talked about this, a year ago or whenever I interviewed from you for my podcast. I didn't understand at that point what an impact I'm going to be making on people, and not
Mhm.
just women and not just entrepreneurs. I still don't know the level of impact that I will have, because at first people were reading it that knew me, right? And
Mhm.
then my friends, family, and coworkers and people in the industry are reading it. But now people in the media and podcasters and just strangers are reading it, and I see them with flags on so many pages, highlights. They're all up in my grill about questions because honestly, the book is incredibly raw and vulnerable. I say things in there that I never shared with anyone,
Mm,
not my therapist, not my best friend, not my daughter. And why did I do that? I did it because I wanted to show the depth and the dynamics. I'm not just girl that was abused that became, successful, right? There's a lot of layers and there's a lot of things at play, and there's a lot of things at play still.
mm,
And I wanted to be as open and honest so that people can look at me and go, "Oh, she's real." There is no smoke and mirrors. There's no glossing over things. Now, did I put every single thing that happened in my life that was vulnerable? No. But I put in some things that are liberating other people and allowing them to feel safe in telling their own story. Because
mm,
I think just like me saying I own a profitable multi-million dollar business, that gives people, women, a voice to be able to stand up and say something similar, whatever is true for them.
mm.
But what I wrote on the book, now people are like, I do that, or that happened to me, or
Right?
oh my God, I've never heard anyone admit that before. And I'm like, okay. So I wrote a passage and I won't describe what it is, but it is a part of a trigger warning of the book, and it has to do with self harm.
Mm,
And I wrote very explicitly about this. And I asked my editor, is this okay? Or is this too much? Like, am I pushing it? Am I like on the crazy train? And he's like, no, you have to keep it in there. It's
yeah.
absolutely why people are going to want to read this book.
Did your daughter read it?
Oh, yeah, she did. She's a phenomenal writer and she's studied English literature. So she was all up on me for like editing things. And I was like, Bennett, it's going to go through proofreading. She's actually the one who told me, Mom, your story is amazing.
Mm,
But she was basically saying your writing isn't as good as your story is.
mhm,
And most people, when they set out to write their own story or their memoir, write in essay form.
mhm,
And that's okay, but it's not going to pull in a reader and keep them forever. So I wanted my book to read like a beautiful, beautifully written work of fiction.
hmm.
That's what the experience I wanted for the reader.
Page turner.
And finding this editor, not only did he help me mold and sculpt it into that, I'm proud to say it is absolutely an incredible read. But he taught me, right? So not he didn't just go in and fix it, but we worked on
Mm.
what needed, changing. And so it has beautiful prose, and I'm very proud of it. And it's hit number one on lists of number one in entrepreneurship, nonfiction, self-help, motivation. I didn't want to write a motivational inspiration book. That wasn't what I was doing, but it's hitting number one on all of these charts and lists. And the funny thing is I'm a woman, right? And women actually read more books than men. It's a fact.
Right.
But men and their um, reaction has been the most surprising to me.
Like how?
Like, okay, I've been interviewed by a few men recently, and they are the ones that have flags, and so do the women. But I was like, wait, what are you doing? Like, and they read every word and they had questions about
Mm,
things that I would typically assume that men may not, feel interested in. But what I'm hearing is thank you for humanizing mental illness. Thank you
Mm,
for saying the things that you said in this book. And I don't know if they're thanking me from their own heart and their own soul for themselves or for their sister or their mother or their
right.
partner. I haven't asked that question yet. It really just released last Tuesday. So,
Amazing. Congratulations.
but we've sold over 6,000 books.
Already incredible.
Yeah,
I
you
so I
know,
have two questions for you. One's a harder question and one might be easier. But the first
okay.
one is, were you able to take what you learned about writing, and move that into your business? Just curious.
Um, yes, into a new business. So
Hmm.
with Entire Productions, that's my core business. I'm currently and have been for the last year and a half working on it, not in it day to day. And I spend about 20% of my time as a visionary and strategist for Entire Productions. And I have created other businesses. One, I've written a course to help people write their story or their memoir, publish it, figure out what publishing path they want to go on, and what is really right for them. I spent 4 years researching this, so I'm like now an expert.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the,
You're legit.
the marketing of the book has been otherworldly for me. I think I can honestly say I did the most unique and over the top book launch that I've ever seen. And I'm hearing back from other people as well. No one's seen something like this. Now, we're not including the billionaires and the people with,
Right.
that are like launching in space or whatever. I don't know if anyone's done that yet, but um, I had a 25-point monster marketing plan, hired a little army to really make it come to life. I had to drop a couple of things. And one of the things I dropped was I was like hell bent on releasing an NFT project.
Oh.
But the people aren't ready for that yet,
Yeah.
from me, right? If you're super into the blockchain and super into crypto and NFTs,
Yeah.
you would be, but that's a small part of my community. So
I get it.
not yet.
Yeah. It's for some, I mean, even I just had a host actually made me an NFT, and I still haven't, like, I don't even know the words, like, initiated it or launched it. I gotta take a course and I don't have time, and I feel really guilty about this, but I also feel dumb because, like, people are interested in this,
I love it.
you
Listen,
know?
I will release an NFT project. I am all about it, but it just, you have to know what to take off your plate,
Yeah,
what to
right.
focus on.
It's so important. Can you don't have to answer this question, of course. Ha Is your mom alive?
Yes. She's alive. We are not in touch. I was able to figure out in about July of 2019 um, some things about my relationship with her. And eventually, it came to the conclusion that I can't have her in my life. It really isn't good for my mental health. And
Mm,
honestly, it's not good for anyone's life if she and I have any communication because she lashes out at other people.
as a
So as long
result,
as we're separated, things are a little more peaceful.
do you think she'll read the book?
I don't know. But I will say this. You shouldn't publish a book if you're out for revenge and if you're trying to hurt people. And I was at a place in my life where I did not want that. However, if you are my mother and reading the book, you're going to be pissed because
Yeah.
the secret is out. But
Right.
again, I'm not trying, I changed her name. I changed a lot of people's names. So, yeah.
Um, well, I hate that we have to wrap up because I feel like there's so much more that we could ask you. If you guys, I mean, everything you say is powerful to me. I'm just sitting here, I do all these interviews and they ask me questions beforehand. And if you know how it is, you fill out surveys,
Yeah, yeah.
list women that you admire. And I always just say myself. I do. Um,
Good for you. You're very
um,
close to saying, putting your stake in the world.
I'm close there, but you're next on my list, Natasha, and I really mean that. And I just feel like if I spent time with you, my vocabulary would really, I just by osmosis would start to better reflect, the work I'm doing. And it's, I hope this doesn't sound bizarre, but I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Listen, before we go, I'm going to take this time to say, you really rocked my world when we talked,
Oh.
and having to do with you. Lately, I am like an obsessive, irrational, loyalist to you guys. What you're putting out in the world is so amazing, and we talked about, the shortcut is do the work, but
Yeah.
actually the shortcut in getting the word out to people is to use Lately.
The best. Lauren, have we sent you brownies yet, Natasha? Lauren, let's send
No, you
Natasha
haven't.
some brownies. We're on it. They're coming. They're like our highest form of love we can give. So, Natasha, after this, of course, we'll take this file, cut it into bits, drive every piece of traffic back to you in
Oh,
the book.
I love the Lately chop and block and drip, and I love it. I love it.
Uh, Awesome. And we will, we've already been sharing links to the book, but we will, continue to do that. If there's more we can do, I actually have been meaning to write a blog about you. It's on my list of things to do. So that I promise we will get that done this year. But I want to invite all of you too to read the book Relentless. You just type in Relentless and it actually comes up. Great job in your SEO. I mean, oh my God, you appropriated a word. And or if you want to know anything about Natasha or how to get in touch with her, just please, reach out to us. Is it natashamiller.com also?
No, it's official natashamiller.com,
Okay.
and if anyone wants to know why, I will let them know. It's a story.
It's a good story. I can imagine. We'll save it for the
Mhm,
next time.
mhm,
And any if you had I don't feel like we can whittle anything down to a tip
mhm,
because that
mhm,
feels cheap, but I'm going to ask you anyways. One tip that you learned from writing the book, either emotionally or professionally, that
mhm.
you'd like to share?
Yes, if you, write your story and start asking the right questions, a lot of answers are gonna come into your world, some that are really hard to, swallow and some that hurt, but it will, in the end, make you so much stronger.
So worth it.
Mhm.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Like I feel kind of like you mean you're on like this golden book tour, and we got a spot in it, so it's pretty awesome.
I
Let's do it
appreciate
again.
you guys, and I love everything that comes out of your organization, so I'm proud to be part of it.
Thank you so much. I love you guys. Natasha Miller, official natashamiller.com. All right.
Yep.
Bye.